I made this music myself.
It's nice.
I'm just kidding, I didn't. My brother did. I have to give him credit all the time, though, because it's good.
It is good.
Right? I thought so, too.
It's very soothing, calming.
Him and his buddy make all the music, and the other day, I was with him. They said, we might need to just turn that into like a whole song, because they really like it. But anyhow, that's not what we came here to talk about. I am being joined by Julie Vono. Julie, how are you?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Awesome. I appreciate you so much for doing this. The podcast is Real Estate for Real, and I am always trying to get people to come on here. And some people just give me a flat out no. Some people nominate others. Very few people have just flat out volunteered.
I'm just kind of a big extrovert, and so I don't mind at all.
You responded immediately. I sent out an email the other day asking, like, hey, I want to talk to everybody I can. And you responded like that.
Well, the reason why I did is because I thought it's very important for realtors some realtors don't have teams.
Right.
They don't have assistants. They don't understand what we do.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest with you. Years ago, when I first started working for Jane, and I'm not going to name any names, but I had a realtor call me at 8 o'clock at night and say, hey, I can't get a hold of Jane, and I know you just kind of do all of her advertising in Heartland Homes and stuff like that, but would you happen to know anything about this property? And I said, well, actually, I was there today. I measured the house. I took the pictures. I know everything about the house. What do you need to know?
Okay. So your official job title, let's start from there. Your official job title is
Office Manager
for
Jane Hay.
Sales and Staging.
Jane Hay Sales and Staging.
you gotta brand it right. I don't want you to get in trouble with Jane when you go back there. No, but okay. And you have been doing that for how long?
I have been with Jane. Let's see. I've been with the real estate group since 21 years, I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I've been with Jane for, I think, 13 or 14 years. And when Jane had like an assistant, part-time assistant, and then she had another agent with her. And I came to the group initially and worked for Jerry Lemon.
Okay.
I knew him from years ago. I used to work at Zelly Title when it was downtown.
Oh, I miss that building.
I love that building.
That building was so cool.
It was cool. And so I knew a lot of realtors from that. And I had moved away to North Carolina. And when I came back, I had a couple of jobs. But then I started at Wells Fargo. And he would always call me and say, hey, who I need an assistant. Who do you know? Because everybody was always trying to get out of there. So I had given him a couple of names, and one worked out really good. And then she was leaving, and he was like, hey, I'm always trying to get you. I know I can't afford you, but I need somebody. And,
okay.
And I said, well, let me think who I have. And then I thought about it a couple of days, and I thought I wasn't happy at Wells Fargo. Things had been drastically changing. And so I said, hey, what about me this time? And he's like, well, yeah. So anyway, that's how it ended. So I started for Jerry, and then one day Jane was in the hallway, and she's like, I just need a Julie Vono. And and I'm like, oh yeah, I was having a bad day. I'm like, just make me an offer today. And not because of Jerry, I was just having a bad day, and just jokingly said that. And then I went my way, she went hers. We saw each other in the hallway 10 minutes later, and she said, hey, are you serious? And I'm like, I don't know.
Depends on what the offer looks
Depends.
like.
So we snuck down to the basement and talked about it, and it was a Friday.
We've got a basement?
You didn't know there's a basement?
I've never been down there. I knew we had a basement.
Yeah, yeah. And so she said, talk to your husband over the weekend, and let's, chat next weekend. We did, and all was good from there.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Jane was doing the staging herself, and then her and I would stage in a 4-car garage that she owned the rental house to, and it had a garage, but there was also a second 4-car garage beside it. So all her stuff was in there.
Wow.
No
okay.
heat, no air, no bathroom. I'm like, we run down the street to the gas station every now and then, and just load our cars to the gill and go stage a house. And it was an all-day event back then.
Right.
Let alone today. And so it just got to the point where we kept getting more clients, and I needed to be in the office. And so then Kelly came on, and so she started helping us. And so we would load 3 cars and go. Well, long story short, we got to where we are today, and we have a stager, and we have a full-time guy that helps us load. Well, I don't do it anymore, but helps load. Brandon helps a lot.
Yeah, he's got that young back.
Yeah, he does.
That's the move.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and we use him for that. And so, yeah, it's just grown from us two to actually her starting by herself, to us two, to Kelly, and to where we are now.
Yeah, and it is a well-run operation now, and and I know Jane. I love Jane. She's one of my favorite people. I know she hustles, but I know that without somebody like you there, it's tough to make this all work.
It is tough because, when and that's why she hired a stager to help, because, she'd be out all day helping stage, and, she just can't do that.
You're right.
She's got appointments, she's got closings, and so that's why we have a staging crew now, and that helps.
Yeah, and so I want to bring up, when you responded to my email, you said, and it's interesting because one of the reasons that I wanted to even start doing this podcast, and the reason that I try to make these social media like TikTok clips, mm-hmm. because I want to give people a more realistic representation of what it is a realtor does. Mm-hmm. Because I think the misconception is and I've seen it literally in words as well, all you guys really do is open doors and put signs in the ground.
Or you look pretty and show houses.
Well, I get that all the time. You can imagine. That's I'm more than just a pretty face, people. But it's people don't really see everything that goes into it. And in your email to me, you said something along the lines of, a lot of people think that we just answer phones, mm-hmm. and that's why you kind of wanted to come on here to talk about everything it is that actually does fall on your shoulders. Mm-hmm. And so a normal day, like not a hectic,
there's
hair's
never
on fire day.
Normal day.
Okay. All right. Well, then we won't call it normal. A typical day for you looks like what?
A typical day is I come in, I check my emails, see who needs what first. So that everybody knows, I used to do both the listing and the purchases for Jane. Like, she would write the contracts and then hand them to me. I would order inspections. I would, do all that back end stuff so she can be out, more appointments, more listings, sell more houses. But she still keeps we both keep close contact with our clients. So I'm always seeing what needs to be scheduled, what closings we have coming up. They bring me their purchase contract. I email it out to everybody, the lender, every place it needs to go. I order inspections if the clients aren't ordering themselves. I have a checklist where I keep up. When's that, per the contract, when's it to be done?
Right.
When did we get it? Was it here on time per the contract? And then, I give the inspections to Jane so she can go over them with the clients. And that's my day. I mean, we've been closing anywhere from 20 to 28 closings a month.
Right.
So I'm crazy.
We're all a little crazy.
But I have Heidi. Heidi puts all the listings in. Heidi does our marketing now. So I don't have to do that anymore. Heidi's a godsend to me. So she takes all the listings, puts them in, does everything, and then gets the file to me, and it just sits there until we get a contract.
Okay.
So Heidi does a lot of the things that I don't have time for anymore. We intentionally made her desk by Jane's so that Jane can just turn around and yell, "Hey, I need this property looked up. I need comps, look up in the area for comps." And Heidi does all that. She works her butt off. But that allows me time to concentrate on the closings.
Right.
Because you can't not get it scheduled in time.
Well, real estate it's a bunch of deadlines.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, and that's what it is. And the contracts, any given transaction, within that transaction, you have multiple deadlines that something has to be done by that time. Otherwise, things can go south
very
poorly.
quick.
And if you take your eye off the ball for even a second and miss that deadline by one day, and it's not calendar day, or it's not business days in real estate, it's calendar days. So it doesn't matter if it's Christmas or Easter, Saturday, Sunday, it's those days, and it's hard and firm. So if those deadlines get missed, things go south. So that's a big part of what you do, is make sure that everything is getting done in a timely fashion according to contract, and everything stays in place and stays tight.
Yeah. And I order the title work. I make sure I review the title work, because obviously working at Zelli's before, I have a good understanding. I know how to read it. I know what the exceptions mean. And honestly, a lot of realtors don't get that kind of training that they should get. Maybe they glance through and just look for liens that may pop up, but there's other things on there that you might need to take care of, or help the title company take care of it, with things that show up.
Yeah.
So I always tell new realtors, go talk to Cornerstone or go talk to Prairie Land. Just have a small training course.
Yeah.
Learn how to read it. Learn what these things mean. So that, then I send the title work to the clients. And then I'm always working like 2 weeks ahead on what we have closing. Were inspections done? Did we get a repair addendum that Jane does all the repair addendums, obviously, but I have to keep track of all that, save everything, and just make sure everything goes smoothly. When the closing gets scheduled, I see if we had to do any repairs, because I would say 95% of the time, our sellers, we suggest they have a pre-inspection.
Yes.
It's very important. It saves them a lot of money in the end. And so once they've determined if there's a repair addendum, then when the closing gets scheduled, I'm going through and I'm like, hey, did you guys get these repairs done? I need the invoices. I need pictures because I've got to send them to the buyer's agent. And it's just a lot of hand-holding.
Yeah.
And babysitting, which is the part that I love. I love dealing with the clients. Closing has always been my thing. I've always been in the banking industry, the mortgage industry, the title company. So I know all facets of this transaction.
Yeah, so you are kind of uniquely qualified for this because you've worked in banking, you worked at a title company, and now you've been in the real estate industry for, you said, 20 years. So has the thought of just becoming a real estate agent and selling real estate entered your mind? Surely it has at some point.
Absolutely. In fact, when I worked for Jerry, we talked about it, because I keep seeing all the big money, he's making. And, I thought,
well, it's super easy, you turn on lights and unlock doors, and then the paychecks just come rolling in.
And so I wanted those big paychecks.
Mm-hmm.
And even went as far as paying for all the information. I was going to do it online. And I can't remember if that was before or after I found out I was pregnant. And I thought, you know what? I don't want to be negotiating contracts at midnight. I don't really, this is my first child and my only child. I don't want to have all my weekends and miss her stuff. And I thought maybe years down the road, I'll change my mind. I did again. I paid for all this stuff. And then I was like, what am I doing? Now she's like 5, 6, 7 years old, and I don't want to miss her games. I don't want to miss this. And I love what I do. I absolutely love what I do. And I get stressed about everything because everything in my position has to go perfectly or that client's not closing.
Right.
And I just thought I would be up at night worried about, so-and-so wasn't going to get their money wired in time. And then we're going to have to deal with that in the morning. And I just thought, I don't need that stress. I would rather you guys have that stress.
I was going to say, these things that you're saying are striking a chord.
Yeah.
And that's something that we sign up for that I don't think anybody even knows. I mean, now you have a unique perspective from just being so close to it. But yeah, you don't know going in that everything you just said is so very real. The up at midnight panic. And it's insane because you can't do anything about it.
No.
It's, you can't do anything right then and there in your bed, unable to fall asleep. You can't fix it.
But you want to so bad.
Yeah.
And you want to figure out how to fix it. And you don't want to tell your clients that something happened.
Right.
The buyer's financing fell through. And what are you going to do now? I just didn't want to deal with that.
Do you still, though, I've talked to some people before in here. Like, one of my least favorite parts about the job is delivering bad news to people. Does that fall on you?
Mm-mm. That's why Jane gets paid the big bucks.
Okay, good. Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I do if it's, not that bad, but it's usually something that she's been dealing with. And honestly, we don't have that many. Knock on wood, we've never had that many bad deals. I mean, we've had deals fall through.
We all have.
But we work it out.
Nobody's immune, unfortunately.
Right. Yeah, you work it out. You do what you have to do to get it closed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's so it's pretty cool. You've kind of got a good view on that stuff, but you leave that stuff to Jane, and I don't blame you. So,
and I'm not saying I don't. Sorry, I'm not saying
fine.
I don't work on weekends. I do. I get caught up, or if Jane's like showing a whole bunch of houses in a row on a Saturday or Sunday, She may call me and say, hey, can you do this purchase contract for me quick? Absolutely. If I'm not doing anything that I can't access my computer, I will do it. And I do it for the rest of our agents if they need something, So I work 8 to 5, but I also work every now and then evenings and weekends, and I'm fine with that.
Your phone keeps buzzing. Is that Jane saying, where are you at?
It is Jane.
Yeah. Lucky guess. You tell her to leave you alone. You're busy.
She knew. Yeah. So anyway, I'll put my phone down there. Yeah. I didn't even notice it buzzing.
It's fine. It's not bothering me. I was just joking. But yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about was your work schedule, because that's, as a realtor, what people, love about the thought of becoming a realtor is, I can make my own schedule. It doesn't work like that. You're on call nonstop. But your schedule is, especially being as, someone that an agent like Jane relies so heavily upon for things to go smoothly, there's got to be a certain aspect of you always being on call as well. Mm-hmm. Even if it's just like, hey, can you send this over to me real quick, to where you got to pop a computer open and
right. Or I'm with the client, can you send this home inspection to so-and-so?
Right. And it falls outside of, quote unquote office hours.
Yeah. But I mean, I was raised, both my parents worked very hard. Mm-hmm. They instilled in me to respect what you do and work your butt off to make sure everything goes smoothly. And I've always learned that. Like I had COVID in October and was deathly ill for 2 weeks.
Oh, man.
I worked from home because if I didn't, nobody's closing at the end of October.
Yeah, it's not an option.
It's not an option, but I was fine with it. And Jane kept saying, you need to rest. I'm like, I am. I'm getting up at 10. I'm working 2 hours. I'm sleeping 2 hours. I had a schedule till about 10 o'clock at night. But, I would never have not just let things go and let Heidi and Jane trying to figure it all out, because that's my obligation to get it done and help these people. So she brought me files. She brought me everything I needed at home so I could just work on and off.
I see why she said she needs a Julie Vono. I mean, it's so rare to find like that kind of dedication, I think, out of anybody for their job. Like if your name's on the company, it's one thing, but to have somebody just so dedicated to what they do to make sure things go smoothly, like, that's invaluable.
It is.
But that's the way you were brought up. You said that's...
Again, that came from my parents. And, they owned their own business. Plus, my mom worked.
What did they do? What was their business?
Well, I grew up in a little small town, Coffeen, down by Hillsboro.
Okay, I've never...
had the mine and then the power plant.
Okay.
My dad worked at the mine. Obviously he started when he was very young, after he got out of college, and was underground, and then worked his way up, and he was the safety instructor. He had his electrical license, and he did a lot of things, but moved to the company side until they closed.
Okay.
And I think I was a freshman when they closed the mine down, and it was devastating for the whole area. But my mom was always in banking, always in the mortgage department.
Ah, okay. So this is all...
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay, mm-hmm. So you were exposed to this at kind of a young age then.
Oh, yeah.
Always fascinated to find out how people, what mm-hmm. in their lives has happened to bring them to this point to where they are now. So your mom was in banking and mortgage.
Yeah.
So, okay.
She was in the mortgage department, and she worked until she decided to retire. And then she was kind of getting bored. And then one of the other banks in Greenville.
Okay.
Which I think there was a stint when she went to work for Greenville, but then came back to the bank in Hillsboro. I can't remember, but they asked her to come back. So she worked another, I don't know how many years, and then finally retired again. But that's how I've been into it. And when I graduated high school, I didn't want to go to college. I got good grades in high school. I hated studying. I hated school. I just wanted to get out and work.
Yeah.
So I started at a local bank in Hillsboro. It was a little savings and loan as a teller. And then I think 2 years later, I was the supervisor of the tellers. And then decided I needed to get out of Hillsboro. And so I applied for some jobs at America's Mortgage, which is now turned into Wells Fargo
yeah.
years later. So I worked downtown there for many, many years in the escrow department.
So here in Springfield? Mm-hmm. Okay. So you need to get out of Hillsboro and then
moved to Springfield.
Mm-hmm.
And then I left there and went to a mortgage company and worked there for several years. And I was a closer there. So I ordered all the closing documents and I scheduled closings and ordered title work and I did it all in my early 20s. And then, where did I go from there? I'm so old. I've had a lot of jobs.
You're not either.
Then I went to Zelli's, and they were looking for somebody to replace Angie Langfelder when she left.
Okay.
And so Angie trained me, and I was a closer for years. And then a friend of mine that had worked at the previous mortgage company was from Peoria. She had moved to North Carolina, and she said, hey, our mortgage company's growing. Right now, our processors do everything from start to finish. They process the loans and they close them. We need to restructure. The processors will only process, and we need to start a closing department. Will you come out and help me do that? And it was just supposed to be a 6-month deal, maybe. And, of course, I got out there and I loved it.
Right.
And so I stayed for a couple years. And then that company got bought and kind of split up. So I thought, okay, well, maybe this is my sign. I need to come back home. So I came back. I worked for Williamsville State Bank for a little while.
Oh, my gosh.
And I was bored. So then I started contracting at Wells Fargo, which I'd worked at before. And then I eventually got hired full-time. And I was in the closing department there for years. And then the last year I worked there, I had moved over to underwriting.
Oh, the underwriting.
And I hated it. I hated it.
Did you listen when I had Natalie Dotson on here?
No, I need to listen to that one.
So Natalie Dotson, INB, loan officer, lender at INB. And I asked her about underwriting because I said, who are these mystery people? Mm-hmm. So you guys have them locked away in their own little room in the bank that nobody has. That you have to scan your retina to get in.
Yeah.
And they're just the ones who everything's good. We just have to send it to underwriting. And then we all go and hold our breath and wait until I've never met an underwriter in my life.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I was new to underwriting. And so I had a lot to learn. But I still, closing was my thing.
Yeah.
And I just never got to the point where I enjoyed underwriting. So then I left and went to work for Jerry and ended up here.
And then here we are, right? And now you're with Jane. So one thing that you guys do, the advertising is pretty awesome, right? And it's not just, obviously Jane Hayes' name's on everything. I think at one point I was at a high school football game and it was like,
we're on the billboard.
It's there, and it's like the Jane Hayes Sales and Staging, first down brought to you by the Jane Hayes Sales and Staging, just every. Yeah. And I think I sent her a text.
A video shows up there during one point. Yeah, so
how involved are you in I think what I like, you guys do a lot of social media videos. Mm-hmm. How involved are you in that process?
We love doing videos.
It seems like you guys have fun.
We have so much fun. We are like all so close knit. We're like family. Even though Brandon's her son and Aaron's her nephew, a lot of people don't know that.
I didn't know that. Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
His mom is Pam, Jane's sister.
Oh, okay.
Jane talked to him for years, trying to talk him into coming to work for her and be a realtor. And finally, he made that move, and we're so glad.
Yeah, he's doing a good job.
Yeah, but we are all so close-knit, and we have so much fun together. And we always have a Thursday morning team meeting, and we talk about advertising and what we need to do next. And a lot of our videos are our own ideas that we come up with. We do have a media company, Ootbox Media, which we love, does all of our stuff, and we kind of coordinate with them on ideas. We have a quarterly meeting to come up with some ideas, but a lot of the stuff that you've seen, our videos, most of them are our crazy ideas.
Well, it comes up and it makes sense. So I was going to ask who's in charge of like the production aspect, because they're really well done.
They are, and
too.
That's Ootbox.
Okay, mm-hmm. You have to give me their info. Mm-hmm. That's cool. And so it's such a kind of a well put together package, the whole thing. And then when did Jane get the warehouse that she's at? How long? Because now it's you guys have an office there, and then it's the staging warehouse.
She bought those 2 strip malls. Mm-hmm. Maybe 8 years ago or so. I can't remember. And we just had our stuff, all of our staging stuff in there, and we were still at this main office.
Okay.
COVID hit. Jane had breast cancer and was just getting over it. And, we obviously got the call from Mike that said, hey, we're going to open the office back up. Everybody can start coming back in. And then we heard someone had COVID and had been in the office.
I remember that email.
And
it wasn't me.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay.
I don't come to the office.
That's true.
I never come to the office.
So Jane called me and we talked about it, and she said, what are we going to do? And I said, well, you can't go back to that office.
Absolutely not.
And so we decided that we would just temporarily set up shop at what we call our warehouse. And so we did. We took some of our staging desks, small things to make desk out of, and it just made more sense to stay over there. And because we were back and forth there anyway,
right,
grabbing signs, grabbing staging stuff, and so we got approval that we could set up our satellite office there, and got all new matching desk and a copy machine, and that's where we are now.
That makes the most sense, because eventually a team is going to kind of outgrow an office that we have, available here. So, how big is the team? Who all is?
So it's obviously Jane,
right?
Brandon
mm-hmm.
Hay, her son, Aaron Hogan, her nephew, Erica Britton, and Cody Houston. And then
that's right. Cody
Heidi
came on board.
Yeah.
And then you and Heidi.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So now we're at what, like 7?
And then our staging crew.
Okay.
Would make Josh would be 8, and then our stager would be 9.
Okay. Yeah. See, that's a lot of people to cram into an office here. So
mm-hmm.
you almost need a warehouse. So then who do you have? Is there are you in charge of like staging inventory? Who keeps track of all that stuff and where it's at what time, and what pieces of furniture or where?
That's all Jane.
Okay.
That's all Jane.
Really?
If we're listing a house, whether it's her listing or Aaron's or Erica's or Brandon's, they will initially go take pictures so she has an idea of what she needs to pull.
Okay.
And so she pulls everything. We always stage on Mondays and Tuesdays. We have a schedule, and then we list it on then we have pictures taken, usually the afternoon that we stage it or the next day. And then when we get pictures, we list it on Thursday or Friday. Tell our clients, get out of your house for the weekend, because you're going to have to be gone a lot. So if there's somewhere you can go or whatever, and then, typically it's sold by Sunday or Monday.
That's the way it's been going anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, as far as, because all this, with so many different, kind of aspects to it, for me, I'm on my own. I do everything myself. So it's easy to coordinate myself with myself. But you guys have, all these different kind of pieces in place. So who is like, okay, this day you need to be here, doing this. And I know Jane has the eye for the design, right? This is what piece needs to go there.
Yeah.
But I imagine
she's doing that schedule too, because in our Thursday meetings, we say, okay, what do we have coming up next week that we need to stage and order pictures for? And so, she keeps the calendar and we stick to that every week.
Okay. All right.
It just makes things easier.
Yeah, it's a lot. That's a lot. So I can only imagine, because I remember I talked to Josh Cruz, because he's got that billboard coming into Chatham. The Cruzes have had that forever. And
I love seeing the different things they put on there.
Me too. They're so creative.
You gotta love Cindy and Josh. Who doesn't love
dearly,
Cindy and Josh?
Dearly, I love Cindy and Josh. Two of my favorite people. But I'm always like interested in the direct versus indirect kind of stuff. So I said, how many people have ever called you and been like, hey, I saw you on that billboard? And he's like, I'd probably count them on one hand.
Yeah.
And that's not why we do that kind of stuff. It's more like a presence of mind thing. I think you guys and your advertising is
it's all social media,
all over the place, right?
Yeah.
So I know you said you close, you guys, 25 to 30 a month. I mean, that's about a closing a day. That's a lot.
It's a lot. And they typically all happen on 2 or 3 days, like next week. I can't remember. We've got 9 next week, but then we'll have a week that we only have 1 or 2.
Yeah. Yeah. They cluster themselves. That's how that goes. But the phone calls that come in, it's got to be pretty frequently with people just, they want to work with you guys. They see the advertisements, they see the online stuff, they see the results. And so, we've talked to a lot of other people about, you get to the point in real estate where you're not making phone calls, your phone's ringing. And so I imagine there at the office, the phone's ringing pretty well off the hook. Yeah,
I don't think Jane's ever had to make phone calls, or anybody on our team. Jane had so many contacts before she even got into the business. She knew for a long time this is what she was going to do.
Right.
She saved up a year's salary before she even left her job at the state. And she had all those contacts. And most of our business is referrals, because we pride ourselves on the customer service that we give our clients.
Sure. So do you ever have anybody, because Jane's the face, she can't be there for every little detail of every transaction. There are things that, obviously a lot of things that fall on you. Do you ever have anybody who, any client, whoever just says, no offense, Julie, but I just want to deal with Jane. I just want Jane to do this. I just want to. Does that ever happen?
Not very often, because, she tells them from the beginning, when you hire me, you get my team. which is comprised of Heidi and Julie as well. Mm-hmm. And, if you want to see something and I'm not available, Brandon can show it. Or, one of the other agents on my team can show it. I don't think that I can remember I've ever had anyone say. I've had realtors.
Ah, okay. Yeah, so that's the follow-up. That's the follow-up to that question.
Yeah. And when I first started working for Jerry, back then, I think Annie Carter and I may have been the only assistants. Rick Hanselman may have had an assistant at that time. So for me to come in, Annie was licensed. I was not.
Right.
It took a long time to get respect from the agents to want to work with me and realize that I knew what I was doing and I wasn't just answering phones, because I had to say a couple of times, well, I'm sorry, but Jerry's busy. If you want your answers, you're going to have to talk to me.
Right.
And it was a very long time. I mean, there were always realtors who wouldn't even acknowledge me.
That's crazy.
It to you, it sounds crazy because you came in at a time when there were a lot of teams starting, a lot of assistants. Back then, there wasn't. And
yeah. See, I know if I need information, if I've got a deal going with Jane or Brandon, and if I need some information, I know you've got it. I
try.
So, yeah, well, and you have to. Everything lands on your desk. All these transactions, everything lands on your desk.
Yeah.
It's the same as if I'm working with Kyle, I know to get a hold of Bethany.
Exactly.
Because you guys have your hands in all of this stuff, and it's so behind the scenes. And, most agents, if you're not part of a team, if you're like me and you just kind of handle everything yourself, you assume that that's how it goes until you kind of have that experience and learn that, the part of the way this team works is these admins have their hands in all this, and they know what they're doing, and they know how the stuff goes, and they understand the deadlines, and they know who needs to have what when, and they can answer questions, and they can help move this along. So you're only hurting yourself by not willingly, talking and conversing, and you guys do a great job.
We try. I know Bethany's one of the best.
Oh, she's fantastic.
She's awesome. And I think the more admins that came on, the realtors began to realize that to take advantage of us. And there were times that I would say, hey, you can call Jane, but you're going to get a quicker answer if you call me.
Right. Because
she's out on appointments and she may not be able to answer you for a while.
And you have the answers.
And I have, not all the time, but
none
most
of us do all the time.
Them, yeah.
All right. So you mentioned, let's see, you've only got one kid.
I have one daughter. She's 15.
She's 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. How's that going? My daughter's 16. So I'm understanding whatever you're going through.
She's awesome, and her and I have always been so close, and she's just a great kid, and we talk about everything, and she's not too embarrassed of me all the time because she's very shy.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
She's like my husband, and I keep trying to switch that out, but she's not. She's shy. And, so we'll be out somewhere and she's always like, everyone. Every time we go somewhere, you run into somebody that you know. I'm like, well, I can't help it because I'm a social person. I like to talk to people, or we'll be somewhere and I'll be talking to somebody I don't know in line somewhere, and she'll be like, let me guess, she's your new best friend. I'm like, maybe.
I go through the same thing. But in this industry, though, you talk to so many people.
Yeah.
And so does she have any interest in kind of getting into this?
No. She did when she was little because she thought it was cool to wear a Jane Hay shirt and, on her school days off, come to the office and help. But she actually is gonna, we hope, continue in this path. But she wants to be a nurse.
Fantastic.
And specifically down the line, she wants to be a baby nurse in the NICU.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that would be super rewarding. Yeah, I always wonder because, my kids, my oldest when I got into real estate was like 9. And now he's 21. So I've got 21, 18, and 16. The oldest 2 are boys, and then my youngest is a girl, 16.
Yeah.
And my oldest is studying to get his license right now.
So's mine. Oh, you're like real estate.
Real estate license.
Oh, I'm thinking driver's license.
All mine have driver's license, and it's the worst thing ever. It's
it's scary.
It is, but no, he's studying to get his real estate license. And then my daughter, the youngest, is also interested in.
That's awesome.
Right, in getting into this.
The advantage to that is the same thing with Brandon and Jane. Brandon followed Jane around since he was a kid.
Right.
He would go on appointments with her. He would go to show houses with her. And so he learned it at an early age.
Yeah.
Then he went to college and got a degree and instantly came back and started running with it. And because he knew so much from her teaching him, he's awesome.
Yeah, we just closed on a deal, Brandon and I, and he did a great job. I mean, it was not one of those smooth and easy ones. You probably remember we had a whole new septic system had to go in. It just happened. And that was a mess.
Yeah.
But we got it done. We closed on it, and Brandon was on top of things, you know, right? So, yeah, you can tell when people have grown up in it. And, I always felt bad because I had to dedicate so much of their young lives to building a business.
Yeah.
And so there was things, sorry, I can't. I got to go show this house. Sorry, I can't. I have to, and so for them to grow up and not like resent that and be like.
And understand.
Yeah.
And if, you teaching them now is only going to help them like when you start your own team with your kids. That'll be awesome. Yeah.
And that's what Keiki was in here a few days ago, and she's really, really putting the pressure on me. She's like, so you have to, you have to now, right? You have to start a team.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess what I told her, I'm always worried. So if I hire my own Julie Vono, like I'm always terrified that if the bottom falls out of this real estate, if the market crashes, and I have all these people relying on me. What? I can't do that. I can't be like, hey, sorry, we got to shut this down.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine.
All right.
I'm the one that's always trying to save Jane money, and I'm like, well, do we really need that? And but you have to be smart about your business.
Yeah.
And you have to just take care of your clients, and they'll bring you repeat clients.
Yeah.
They'll bring you their kids, their neighbors, anybody they know, their friends. And that's the main thing. So
you just mentioned something interesting. You got to kind of, on occasion, say, hey, maybe we don't need to spend this. Does that happen?
No, but it's just things, I don't know. It's just little things. And I'm always like, well, we don't, like when she was wanting to get us all new desks, I'm like, well, we don't need that. We're using what we're using, and that's fine. I'm not in her business all the time saying, hey, don't spend that money.
Right.
But it's just little things that I notice that I bring up. And she's like, well, we really need that. I'm like, okay, whatever.
So you guys, I mean, you said before, you're more like family now. You spend, I'm sure, more time together than you really do with your own families.
Oh, yeah. Jane's one of my best friends, and we were friends before I even went to work for her. And we just got to know each other in this office particularly because I was down there and she had an office back here. And it, you work so close every day, and then like my daughter grew up at their house every Friday night because we would go over, and the neighbors would come over, and we would just spend 2 or 3 hours on her back deck,
Just hanging out.
Just hanging out.
That's cool.
And Elena grew up there, and I knew Justin and Brandon growing up there. So yeah, when I say we're family, I mean it.
Yeah, like legit. Well,
she worries about all of us, and she takes very good care of us, and she's the best.
Well, and she's got a lot of help also maintaining that label of the best. And Jane's awesome, and I've asked her to come do this with me.
She doesn't.
She didn't say no, but she sure didn't say yes.
It took me forever when it was just Jane and I to get her to start doing videos.
Right.
And she's like, I can't. I can't be on. I'm like, well, we'll practice, and you have to start doing these.
She looks totally natural doing them.
Because I forced her to do them.
Okay.
And now she's awesome. But she would never. She hated it. And she would stumble and, 50 times and this. But she's great at it now.
Yeah.
And it just took some pushing. But she just doesn't like doing. And I don't know why this makes her nervous. She's more outgoing than I am.
And her and I are friends.
Yeah.
Like legitimate friends. We've had plenty of long conversations, and she's one of my absolute favorite people in the world. Mm-hmm. And I was like, so you going to come do this? She's like, come on.
She just gets nervous talking in front of people, but this is not like
So you're going to go back and tell her.
This is one-on-one.
Yeah, it's totally fine. It's just us talking. Just because we got microphones and headsets, it's no big deal.
Yeah.
It's just talking.
It's no big deal.
Yeah, just talking about the business.
You just don't think about all those people out there.
Well, you just maintain this here.
Yeah.
And then that's no big deal. More people listen than watch.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, the downloads are higher than the YouTube views.
Oh, well, see,
So,
there. She has nothing to worry about.
There you go. So, you're happy where you're at. You're going to do this for how long?
Until I die.
You sound like a realtor.
No. I can't work from home.
Right.
I have to be in an office. I just feel like I'm going to be working, I'll be that 80-year-old that Brandon's like, it's time for you to retire. Stop. Get out of here.
They'll still just let you come hang out at the office.
Yeah.
So.
I'll be the old lady back in the corner taking naps. But,
well, there's plenty of furniture.
Yeah. I just have to be doing something.
I'm with you. I mean, this is the right industry. Mm-hmm. You can do this as long as you want to do this, and you do a great job.
Thank you.
And I feel like now, like you mentioned, everybody's kind of like come around and understand the value that you bring, but probably still didn't have a full idea of the scope of everything, which is why you wanted to come on here.
Yeah, because just like Bethany, just like the other assistants, which all of them I can't think off the top of my head. I only remember Bethany because you brought her up. We do so much.
Well, Ketke has Allie.
Yes.
She does a great job.
Allie does an awesome job.
We're not trying to leave anybody out.
No, I'm not. By any means. They're all wonderful. I just think that the realtors, the new realtors and the older realtors don't understand what we do.
Right.
We're not just doing advertising. We're not just trying to intercept Jane's phone calls. And, we do everything. I do all of that for my team too, which Aaron and Erica and Cody and Brandon, they do a lot of their own stuff, but I do put everything in SkySlope.
Right.
I'm still ordering inspections.
Oh, you're
if they
earning
need
your paycheck with that alone. Oh,
Oh,
SkySlope.
that's easy.
It's easy. Yeah, I know it is. It's just tedious stuff.
It's tedious.
When I've got appointments doing other stuff, and I
Yeah.
got to make sure I'm keeping my SkySlope updated, and
Yeah.
then I get a notification that, hey, somebody missed an initial. And jeez. All right.
That's the worst.
That is.
Because I'm the one that always has to send that email.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and I don't want to say, hey, dumbass, you forgot. you forgot to initial page 6, but I'm nice about it. We need to clean up this contract a little bit.
Yeah. Very diplomatic with the way that you put that.
Yeah, and everybody forgets things. You know,
It happens.
I'm always sending stuff. Even Jane, I'm like, she was big on, okay, now don't forget, you guys. Everybody has to now initial page 6 at the bottom. Well, then I would get a contract. She hadn't initialed it. I'm like, Jane.
Somebody forgot. That
Yeah.
somebody was you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like what people should definitely appreciate is the number one complaint about realtors, whether it be from clients or other realtors, is communication.
Mm-hmm.
Lack of communication is maybe somebody lists a house or they've got it coming soon, and I call them about it because I want to get some info, and they don't answer, and I leave a voicemail and I send a text, and I hear nothing back for hours.
And then you may have missed it.
And then, yeah, right. And maybe in that time, we found something else that my clients liked, and they don't want to miss that, so we write it. But it's one of those things where realtors, we can have appointments lined up 8, 9 in a row, and we're, responding to texts and calls have to come at the end of the day, and like that's a value that you bring. Is if Jane's out doing, all these things that she's doing, and I need something now, you have it. I can go to you, and that's for people to, I guess, not understand or appreciate that, or say, like you're just there to intercept Jane's phone calls. Like, no, this is a service. You're working for Jane, but you're providing a service to all of us other agents as well, too, who rely on that communication to make our business work. You assist with that. So, like, we all need to be very, very grateful for these awesome admins that we have that help with the communication and can give us info that we need to tell our clients when we maybe can't get direct contact with the listing agent. And, we need something sent over, and and you're there for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not going to start paying you too. Don't get me wrong. But I do appreciate that because I understand the value that you guys bring to kind of help our transactions move along more smoothly.
Yeah. Or if we've missed something getting our clients to sign, then we can do that in 10 minutes and send it to them to sign. Other than the agent, you might have to wait a couple hours.
And sometimes we don't have a couple hours. Sometimes we need it. Maybe the bank needs it, and it's 4:30, and they need it by 5. And now I've got to send it. It's got to go to you. It's got to get signed, sent back. And that process itself is a 15 to 20 minute process, let alone if the agent can't get to it until tonight or tomorrow. It is invaluable to have that, and only you guys can kind of help, facilitate that for us. So just so you know, I appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you saying that.
And I've done enough deals with the Jane Hay team, probably more than any other team I would guess in town, and so I know, being on the other end, how smoothly it goes, and man, I love that on my end.
That's our goal, because when I went to work for Jane, she had her system and I had mine.
Right.
So we merged those systems. And we're very anal about things. We like a schedule. We like a list of how things goes on, and we stick to that, and just to make sure everything goes smoothly.
Well, you do a great job.
Because that's what we want. Thank you.
That's what I want too. That's what we all want. We should all want that.
Right.
It elevates everybody when every smooth transaction, it just looks good for all of us. So
yeah.
Our hour is up.
Okay.
That was fun.
It was fun.
You did a great job.
Thank you.
See, that wasn't bad at all.
No,
Go
it
tell
wasn't.
Jane.
Yeah.
Tell Jane. She
She's
needs to
got to
sit
do
down.
it.
So what do you have going on rest of the day? Busy schedule? It's a Friday.
Going to get trying to get all my closing statements for all of our closings next week. I've got a couple trickle in this morning, but I still have 8 I got to get for next week.
Okay. I'll let you get back to work. I'm sure Jane's freaking out. I've kept you for an hour.
Yeah. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, Julie Vono, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me today. That was fun. I'll try to have this out as soon as possible, and then you'll have the link.
Okay.
All right, Real Estate for Real. Until next time.